You're watching KRCR News Channel 7. At 5, get the facts right.
Containment on the Carr fire breaking the halfway mark at 51%, acreage growing to over 181,000 acres burned. Good evening, I'm Brent Weber. Allison Woods was on Daybreak today. You can see a new red line in the northern part of the fire. A fire operation CAL FIRE is heading to prevent the hottest part of the fire from escaping them. KRCR's Courtney Kreider has the latest.
This is why the firefight has been so difficult. The Carr fire has reached areas of Shasta and Trinity counties that's nearly impossible to tackle on foot, forcing crews to fight the flames with their own.
3 ways you can put out fire. You can remove the fuel from ahead of it, you can remove the oxygen, or you can cool it. Obviously, we can't remove the oxygen from it, so cooling it with water is just not really feasible with a fire of this size and intensity. So what we do is remove the fuel out from in front of it.
Bryce Bennett with CAL FIRE says removing the ground vegetation or backburning is the most effective way they can contain the north end of the fire because of the terrain.
This area is so steep and treacherous, it's just physically not safe for firefighters to engage fire on these hillsides. We need to do it on the ridge tops.
Corralling the flames into an area where ground crews can go directly.
We do that with low intensity fire, which is the kind of fire Mother Nature always intended, keeping the fire on the ground and removing that fuel, which will eliminate the spotting potential for the head of the fire as it comes towards us.
If weather cooperates and their operation goes successfully, by the end of their 24-hour shift, this entire area, including the dozer line where I'm standing, should be black. One step closer to a completed line on the Carr fire. Reporting in Shasta County, Courtney Kreider, KRCR News Channel 7.
Thank you, Courtney. The Hat Fire near Fall River Mills grew from 800 to 2,500 acres overnight with 15% containment. Evacuations do remain for Highway 299 East from Pit 1 grade to Glenburn Road, all homes west of Glenburn Road as well. There's an evacuation shelter located at Ayden Community Center, 605 Highway 299 East in Ayden, about that 35 miles east of Fall River Mills. There are road closures on Highway 299 East, eastbound closure at Castle Road, and a westbound closure at Main Street in Fall River Mills. No estimate yet of when those closures will be lifted. The Hers fire continues to burn near Hers Mountain and Gilman Road near the McLeod arm of Shasta Lake. Officials say that's now 450 acres and 10% contained. Fire began actually as 3 smaller fires along Gilman. Smallest was quickly contained to 10 acres. The 2 larger fires then merged together. They're burning north-northwest up the slope of Hers Mountain. There are 81 personnel fighting this fire. Let's take a live look over Redding right now. Tonight from our Mercy Skycam, meteorologist Rob Elvington is here tracking the heat conditions out there. Rob?
Yeah, big concern for the red flag warning that's in place all the way through 11 o'clock tomorrow night. It's for those gusty winds and the low humidity. Of course, it's going to be warm, but right near about normal for this time of the year. Here's a look at the MODIS heat detection map, and this really tells a lot of what's going on right now. This was released at 4 o'clock, so just about an hour ago. As Courtney was just reporting on, they're doing burn operations out ahead of the Carr fire. So if you'll notice on this heat detection map, these are from polar orbiting satellites, there's a big gap between the burn operations and the actual perimeter or the burn line of the Carr fire. So you'll notice that gap. Again, that's where they're doing those burn operations. That's actual fire activity associated with the Carr fire. So we still have it on the southwest and the northeastern perimeter of the Carr fire. You'll notice the Hers fire also still putting out heat in the last 6 to 12 hours. But take a look at the Hat fire. You'll notice some orange dots, and that indicates some heat in the last 24 hours, but no heat in the last 6 to 12 hours. And even our real-time weather satellites not picking up much heat from the Hat fire. So that is really good news for the Fall River Mills area. Here's a look at the visible satellite. You'll notice some of these smoke plumes taking off in the late afternoon hours, including the Mendocino complex, the Carr fire, and some fires off to the southeast. These are mid to high level clouds. So we're also tracking some of those clouds moving through the area. And take a look at that red flag warning again, still in place through 11 o'clock on Saturday. For most areas shaded in red, except for Modoc County, it's through 9 o'clock tonight with another red flag warning going into effect at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And it's for the same reason, gusty south and southwesterly winds with low humidity. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Rob. Once air quality improves enough, people wanting to get outside, a couple of recreation sites along Clear Creek and in the Cloverdale area south of Redding have reopened to the public. Dangers from the Carr fire passing in that area, so the open areas south of Placer, that includes Clear Creek Gorge Overlook, those trails that run along there throughout the area. Recreation areas north of Placer, including Swayze Recreation Area, remain closed to protect public health and safety. The Shasta County Sheriff's Office is encouraging people to sign up for emergency notifications through Code Red. Code Red is an emergency notification system that gives authorized users the ability to send emergency information via phone calls, text messages, and emails. And since it's an opt-in service, it's free, you still have to sign up. You can do so on the web at shastcom911.com and clicking on the Code Red icon on the page. It's important. That's how they're going to get in touch with you. You can also get breaking news notifications on our KRCR News app and by visiting our website, krcrtv.com. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen visited Shasta County today to tour the Carr fire disaster areas and to address what Carr fire survivors should expect from FEMA and Homeland Security. KRCR News Channel 7's Brianna Haney attended the meeting and joins us now with a recap. Good evening, Brianna.
Good evening, Brent. During the conference, Nielsen and FEMA's Robert Fenton explained FEMA assistance will come in 3 forms. First, they'll offer personal assistance for homeowners and renters, including the uninsured, providing rental assistance, grants, and even temporary housing, depending on local housing availability. Fenton says they've already have a number of mobile home and trailer units staged in Sacramento for temporary housing. Second, they'll cover 75% of the cost of debris removal, firefighting expenses, and restoration of public property. Third, 20% of all the costs will be put aside to help prevent this kind of destruction from happening again. He adds people can register for this assistance at 1-800-621-FEMA or disasterassistance.gov. Aside from FEMA, Nielsen explained Homeland Security will also be here to help the community during the recovery efforts. Nielsen says the federal disaster declaration is only for Shasta County and the Carr fire, but they are also assessing damage caused by several of the other wildfires burning in the state. Brianna Haney, KRCR News Channel 7.
Thank you, Brianna. Shasta County and City of Redding officials are offering information to the public about debris removal for private property owners. There's a public meeting tonight. It's at 6 p.m. at City Council chambers in Redding. California Office of Emergency Services will also be there to speak and answer questions to the community that you may have about removing debris from your property. According to the City of Redding, the meeting will kick off their recovery efforts and educate the community about steps involved in the phases of the debris removal process. Almost 2,000 marijuana plants were eradicated in Butte County in an alleged illegal grow operation, according to Butte.
This portion of the news sponsored by Clean Right, Build Right, doing it right for over 50 years.
As evacuees return home and those who've lost their homes begin to sift through debris, there are a number of resources available to provide you with direction moving forward. KRCR News Channel 7's Tamara DeMonte joins us now for Fight Fire Friday.
Fight Fire Friday is sponsored by Clean Right, Build Right.
Thank you so much, Brent. A Redding City Manager is posting a series of videos on his Facebook page with easy-to-access information on Carr fire recovery. Take a look.
Hi, this is Barry Tippin. I'm City Manager, City Redding. Really quick video to update you on what's going on with the Carr fire recovery efforts. I'm going to try to do one of these videos daily if I can to let you know what's happening. For today, I'm going to talk about 2 things. One is debris removal, and the other is our ShastaReddingRecovers.org page that has been stood up this week.
He posted links to ShastaReddingRecovers.org, where you can find additional information on the topics he's talking about, like debris removal, damaged property, supplies, and shelter. And when you click on an icon, a number of links appear for you to choose from. For example, if you click on the City of Redding press release regarding debris removal and cleanup, a wealth of information pops up, offering smart tips to prevent fire-related illness while you are cleaning up, like avoiding direct contact with ash. If you get ash on your skin, in your eyes, or in your mouth, wash it off immediately with sterile water. And wear gloves, long-sleeved shirts, and long pants to avoid skin contact. Wear a pair of goggles to avoid getting debris into your eyes. Change your shoes and clothing before you leave the fire site. Use a fitted N95 air-purifying respirator mask. And if you have heart or lung disease, consult with your doctor before ever using a mask during fire cleanup.
And once again, that new website is www.shastareddingrecovers.org. For Fight Fire Friday, I'm Tamara DeMonte.
And that red flag warning is still in place through 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, as we head into early next week, we actually have to keep a close eye on the tropics, the Pacific tropics. We will be tracking some of that moisture. Details coming up right after this break.
You're watching.
Good evening, welcome back. Happy Friday. We'll start off with the infrared mapping. Again, this is nearly real-time data. The last frame, about 5 to 10 minutes old in this animation. This is over the last 2 hours. And one thing you'll notice, the Mendocino complex still putting out quite a bit of heat this afternoon. We do have that red flag warning in place. And then you'll notice the Carr fire still putting out some heat. Also keep in mind, a lot of these dots right here, those are those burn operations that Courtney Kreider was reporting on just here in the last 15 minutes. So not technically a part of the actual northeastern perimeter of the Carr fire. These are all burn operations. This is the Hers fire burning closer to Lakehead, but you'll notice off to the east, not much of a heat signature from the Hat fire. So that's actually some really good news for the Fall River Mills area. If we can switch back to my regular weather graphics, there's a look at the visible satellite, and we've got some pretty strong winds from out of the southwest aloft. Even at the surface, some gusty winds for some locations. So you'll notice how some of these smoke plumes are taking off to the northeast this afternoon. We'll zoom in a little bit closer to Shasta County. You'll notice a lot of smoke moving off to the northeast from the Carr fire, some of those burn operations. Again, not seeing much of anything from the Hat fire. So again, that is some good news. And then these are all just mid to high level clouds moving in from out of the west and southwest. Air quality index, and you'll notice still dealing with some unhealthy air over parts of the north states. So you still need to continue to wear those masks. It may seem a little bit better at times, but even if you can't taste it, we're still dealing with quite a bit of particulate from all that wildfire smoke. Winds right now, it's more of a west-southwesterly wind closer to the Carr fire. And then as you head up into some of the higher elevations, more of a southwest to westerly wind. As you head up into Lassen County and Modoc County, where we also have red flag warnings in place, more of a westerly wind right now. Through the rest of this evening, we'll actually see winds start to move out of the northwest for parts of the valley. You'll notice those dark blue arrows showing up, indicating winds around 20 miles per hour. And then through the day again tomorrow, south winds for the valley. Not too bad for the valley. It's mainly those foothills, the ridge tops, the mountains that will see the strongest winds through the day tomorrow. And again, that red flag warning expires at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Overnight lows right around the mid-60s throughout most of the valley. 44 in Hayfork, 52 in Weaverville, 48 degrees in Bernie. And take a look at this. This is for early next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We've got Tropical Storm Christy and John. They were once hurricanes, but they're quickly weakening as they move into colder ocean waters. But the remnant moisture and even circulations may get pulled into central and northern California by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And that may increase our chances for some mountain thunderstorms. Of course, we want the rainfall, but definitely concerned about gusty winds and any lightning that some of these thunderstorms could produce. And we've been talking about this over the last few days, but models are starting to kind of show up quite a bit with this thunderstorm activity. Your 7-day forecast for Chico, red flag warning tomorrow, staying right around the mid-90s through the next 3 to 5 days. And again, we've got mountain thunderstorms in the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday. Redding, your 7-day forecast, upper 90s this weekend, and we'll stay right around the upper 90s all the way through Wednesday. Again, the big concern by Tuesday and Wednesday will be the threat of mountain thunderstorms. Unfortunately, a lot of this moisture coming in from out of the tropics will be elevated moisture. That means the thunderstorms will have very high bases, so that rain with any thunderstorms that do form, it's going to have to fall quite a distance down to the surface. So dry lightning and gusty winds a concern, and then we heat back up starting on Thursday. Back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. Coming up, a look at what Washington is doing to ensure recalled Volkswagen vehicles are in full emissions compliance before being put back on the market.
Western bacon cheeseburger, Carl Jr., pick it up.
Cousin Gary Holmes, Redding and Chico will treat you right. You're watching KRCR News Channel 7 at 5:30. Get the facts right.
Containment on the Carr fire, breaking the halfway mark, now 51%, acreage growing to over 181,000 acres burned as people begin to put their lives back together. Good evening, I'm Brent Weber. Thank you for joining us. Allison was on Daybreak this morning. We start with federal recovery efforts in response to President Trump's disaster declaration in Shasta County. The new Disaster Recovery Center opened its doors right here in Redding. KRCR News Channel 7 reporter Megan Mackey is live at that Disaster Recovery Center on Hilltop Drive and joins us now. Megan?
Brent, now for privacy reasons we cannot show you the doors to the facility, but I have been seeing people coming in and out of here all day. Now if you currently look to my right, there are people getting assistance at this very moment in time, and I was told that today alone there were over 345 people here, all of them hoping to get help recovering from Carr.
When there's just such a traumatic event like this and so many people are affected, it gets to the next level where they're like, we need to get FEMA out here, we need to get people in homes, and we need to get them taken care of immediately.
When the president declares a federal disaster declaration, doors open and a federal response team is deployed to the disaster zone to provide government assistance. FEMA offers grants up to $34,000 to provide immediate needs assistance like temporary housing and food. The Small Business Administration, or SBA, offers low-interest loans to help with long-term recovery efforts like rebuilding or replacing a home or business.
That's why the rates are able to stay really low. That's why the terms are long, so that we can make every loan as affordable as possible. And another part of that is that our criteria for qualifying for a loan is a lot more lenient.
But the SBA says that they won't be able to help everyone. If you have bad credit or low income, you might not be able to get approved for a loan. In that case, they will send you back to FEMA to see if you qualify for other assistance.
The process is really important to remember. FEMA, SBA, and then if we can't help you, it's back to FEMA.
The federal organizations have partnered with over a dozen agencies to make the process smoother. Some of those at the Recovery Center include the DMV, WIC, Passport Services, Veteran Affairs, the Health and Human Services Agency, and the Shasta County Office of Education. They can help with services like destroyed passports or driver's licenses, charred vehicle towing, property sifting, and forwarding your mail. An important thing to keep in mind is that they do not have a magic fix for everyone. Federal aid does not mean free services, but they are there to find solutions and help survivors recover during this time of loss. Now, the other point they wanted to make is that this facility is only for people living in Shasta County that were affected by the Carr fire, but I can tell you I have seen people coming in from all walks of life all throughout the day here. Now, coming up at 6:30, I talked to a couple who they found themselves starting all over pretty late in life. Live in Redding, Megan Mackey, KRCR News Channel 7.
Thank you very much, Megan. The Hat fire near Fall River Mills growing from 800 to 2,500 acres overnight with 15% containment. Evacs remain for Highway 299 east from Pit 1 grade to Glenburn Road and all homes west of Glenburn Road. There is an evacuation shelter located at Ayden Community Center at 605 Highway 299 east in Ayden, about 35 miles east of Fall River Mills. There are road closures at Highway 299 eastbound closure at Castle Road, and a westbound closure at Main Street in Fall River Mills. No estimate on when those closures will be lifted. The Hers fire continues to burn near Hers Mountain and Gilman Road near the McLeod arm of Shasta Lake. Officials say that's 750 acres with 10% containment. That began as 3 smaller fires along Gilman. East of Interstate 5, Gilman Road is closed. The smallest fire was contained at 10 acres. 2 larger fires merged together. They're burning now north-northwest up the slope of Hers Mountain. About 81 personnel are fighting that fire. A procession for Butte County CAL FIRE heavy equipment mechanic Andrew Brake just completed a few hours ago. It began at 2 at the Tehama County Sheriff's Office in Red Bluff, made its way to the Newton Bracewell Mortuary in Chico. Brake died in a car crash on Highway 99 near Los Molinos early Thursday morning. Brake was a 6-year veteran of CAL FIRE and grew up in Chico. Officials say brake had been assigned to the Carr fire. Memorial services for Reading Fire Prevention Inspector Jeremy Stoke will be held tomorrow at the Reading Civic Auditorium. Reading Fire Department said there will be an emergency vehicle procession traveling to the memorial services to honor the many dedicated years of public service and life given by Stoke. Services will begin at noon tomorrow, and we will be broadcasting live here on KRCR News Channel 7 and on our Facebook page. The public is welcome to attend, and they're asked to arrive no later than 11 a.m. to allow time for traffic and parking. Taking a live look over Reading from our Mercy Sky Cam, meteorologist Rob Elvington in the First Alert Weather Center with the latest on that heat. Rob?
Yeah, you know, we are concerned about the red flag warnings as we head through the rest of tonight and into your Saturday, those gusty winds and low humidity. Take a look at the MODIS heat detection map. There's a lot going on in this map. It's very useful. We'll start off with the Carr fire, and keep in mind on this map, you really want to focus on the oranges and the reds. That's indicating heat that we have picked up, of course, fire activity over the last 6 to 12 to 24 hours. You'll also notice closer to the Carr fire, we still have the southwestern perimeter that's active, the northeastern perimeter, but you'll notice this line right here. That's actually separate from the actual fire activity associated with the Carr fire. These are all burn operations out ahead of the Carr fire that we've been telling you about over the last few days. You'll notice the HERS fire still putting out some heat over the last 6 to 12 hours. As Brent mentioned, it's 3 separate fires. So you'll notice this one and this one a little bit more active with the other one that is contained. And some good news with the HAT fire. Only orange dots showing up on this map, so that's indicating heat after the last 12 hours. And I've been watching that area closely all day today on the real-time satellites and just not seeing much heat on the infrared satellites. South and southwesterly winds in place right now, stronger winds as you head up into the mountains. And again, that red flag warning's in place through 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Modoc County, your red flag warning ends at 9 o'clock tonight, but another one goes into effect at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Rob. Analyzing the behavior of a wildfire. It's advanced science and critical to battles against large-scale events like the Carr fire. First Alert forecaster Jeff Andrews has more on the story. Jeff?
Thanks, Brent. I joined the 3-man team consisting of 2 IMET's incident meteorologists. They were brought in by CAL FIRE specifically, and also Don Bouger, an IBAN, the incident behavior analyst, as they scouted for a location for a remote sensor, that's a remote weather station, rather, that aids in the Carr fire fight. Don, officially retired, was called in especially for the Carr fire.
We're getting, well, some of the proximity. What are some of the potential outcomes when we get there?
200-foot flame lengths, moving at 50 chains an hour.
There's a possibility that we might not stick around.
We won't stick around, no. And neither will the firefighters on the line. It's our number one objective in firefighting this particular fire and any fire, wildland fire, is firefighter and public safety. One of the things we're worried about is ember cast, and directly next to the fire we could see embers cast across the fire line like this, up to 3/4 of a mile. We've seen ember cast as far as 3 miles on this particular fire, something we call the fire brand.
It's burning the palm of my hands right now.
Yeah, so you look down in there a ways, you got a whole tree, a small tree going up. Solar panel, this is to charge the battery to make sure we can continue to get the transmission. Up top, we've got the anemometer, and so that's going to give us wind speed and direction. We're going to put a precipitation gauge, a rain gauge out, a fuel stick that'll give us fuel moisture.
And this is exactly what they wanted. Yesterday, we were speaking with the branch supervisor, the division supervisors, and we were helping to give them confidence.
Every day is critical in the fight against the Carr fire. This weekend especially, with a red flag warning in place.
Wait for the winds, wait for those conditions, and when those conditions change, you get that wind at your back, it's gonna stay there all night long. So just wait for it, and then when it goes, game on.
Bouger said IMET Alex Hoon's early wind projections likely helped spare the city of Reading as a whole from major disaster. Jeff Andrews, KRCR, News Channel 7.
Thank you very much, Jeff. A California Highway Patrol motorcycle officer died after being involved in a serious accident this morning. It happened on Interstate 80 in Fairfield. Just after 9 a.m., the crash caused major traffic problems. Commuters were asked to avoid the interstate. Details are scarce so far, but a pickup truck was involved in the collision. Also reports that at least 3 people were hospitalized. The Reading Police Neighborhood Policing Unit arrested 4 people yesterday on methamphetamine charges as part of an investigation into drug sales at the Market Street Manor Motel in Reading. According to the Reading Police, Eric Lewis on the left was arrested for maintaining a room where drugs are used or sold. His twin brother, Derek Lewis on the right, was arrested for possession of meth. Parnell Hopkins, seen on the left,
The law offices.
Some breaking news. We have new repopulation orders in the Lewiston area for you. More evacuations have been lifted. Residents may return home in the Lewiston community north of SR 299 to Kinney Camp Road at Keno Camp Road, west of County Line Road to Trinity Dam Boulevard, and all areas and roads within. SR 299 will be open to residents only from Sandhouse to Buckhorn Summit. A firefight in California and a possible funding fight on Capitol Hill on how to pay for those deadly fires. As our national correspondent Michelle Macaluso tells us, Mother Nature might give lawmakers a new battle when they return from recess.
This year's fire season is on track to be the worst on record, with almost 24 fires burning across the state of California. Federal, state, and local agencies are working together to help the thousands of people forced to flee their homes. FEMA Regional Administrator Bob Fenton.
Finding them places to rent, helping them with costs to repair their houses, and other essential needs.
FEMA has about $20 billion in its disaster relief fund now and will get another $7 billion starting in October. Fenton is confident his agency has enough money to assist with the fires in California.
No shortfalls at this point, more than sufficient funding in the disaster relief fund right now to meet these ongoing requirements here in California.
But there's growing concern that FEMA will not have sufficient funding for other natural disasters, especially as hurricane season ramps up.
As it stands today, I think FEMA has enough money. If we had something like a Katrina, an Irma, a Maria from last year, that money could disappear pretty quickly.
This past decade, extreme weather and fires have cost the federal government over $350 billion, according to the latest federal data. Bill Hoagland, budget expert at the Bipartisan Policy Center, says Congress needs to plan better.
Disasters are unpredictable, and we want to make sure that when those disasters take place that you can go to the bank and pull it down.
Congress returns to Washington next month and will need to pass a budget or short-term spending bill to keep the government funded past September. Even if the government shuts down, FEMA will still operate and firefighters will continue to fight. On Capitol Hill, I'm Michelle Macaluso.
Firefighters in Southern California say they just can't get ahead of the holy fire. Still only 5% contained. Officials say it has now burned more than 18,000 acres with just 5% containment. Strong winds are fanning those flames. California's governor declared a state of emergency for Orange and Riverside counties. The man accused of starting that fire, Forrest Clark, has been charged with aggravated arson.
Again, the concern as we head through this upcoming weekend will be the gusty winds and the low humidity. Again, the red flag warning goes to 11 o'clock tomorrow night, including parts of the valley, as well as ongoing fires. And we're also concerned about the threat of thunderstorms early next week. That's due to some tropical moisture. Details coming up right after this break.